Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Boss Rush Podcast, a great place to play games and be better. I'm one of your hosts, Corey Deering, and alongside me, as always, and back is the Mad Pharmacist herself, Stephanie Kumo.
Hey, so happy to be back at it with you guys.
I know, we missed you, Stephanie. It's been a hot
summer.
minute, as they say.
Okay.
Yep. How are you?
I'm all right. I'm hanging in there, per
Yeah.
usual.
Yeah.
Just laughing through it all, laughing through the pain.
Yes. You know what they say, laughter is the best medicine. Speaking of pain, also here's PK Power Pat Klein.
That's right. I'm bringing on the pain of painkillers. I don't know. Trying to be happy here, and I'm excited that Steph is back. You not being here created a lot of holes that it was hard to fill.
But you guys definitely filled the holes.
It sounds very awkward, and I'm gonna move on. I'm just kidding, Stephanie. We missed you. You left a big
hole.
How do we keep coming back to holes? Oh my gosh, help
Corey,
me!
Corey, our guest tonight.
Our guest tonight, our most popular After Dark episode is called Holes. You should go check it out. Not going to tell you what it's about. You'll have to find out for yourself. Rated M for mature. Our guest tonight, she was on our Paper Mario book club, which is out now. You can go check it out. She streams. She is tweeting things. Genshin Impact stuff mostly.
Genshin puppies.
And my new nickname for her is Just Taylor. Just Taylor is here. Hello, Taylor. How are you?
Hello, everyone. Nice to be back. Thank you for having me.
It's good to have you back. So for people who are not patrons, you should be a patron. $1 gets you the pre-show. Good conversation about cons. You should go check it out. Who are you? What do you do? Why are you important on the internet?
Hi, everyone. My name is Taylor. I'm on Twitter. That's my main social media platform. My Twitter tag is cute_idiot. And I've been playing video games since I was like 5. I grew up on them. I love Nintendo games and I love JRPGs. So my two main platforms right now are PS5 and Switch. And yeah, I got invited here to talk about the games I've been playing recently, and I'm excited to chat with you all.
Well, we're excited to have you back. Yeah, sorry, introductions are we do them twice here because of the pre-show, and you know the public doesn't get to see the first conversation we had, so
okay,
they have to pay that pretty Washington to hear that. But we're glad you're here. We're glad you're back. Got a lot to get through today. This is our first show back from PAX, and it's been very kind of weird coming back to like this setting because we did the ones, we did all the panels with the different creators there, and then we did an episode together in person, and I was like, I miss that so much. But here we are again behind the 5-inch window that all your blurry pixelated faces are in. So
yeah.
Man, PAX was so fun. But I did before we get into this entire thing that we supposedly do here. I have been I've been thinking a lot about like certain, and by the time everybody hears this, you will have probably already noticed, but this is the first time we've missed shows during a week this entire year. There will not be a POW Block episode this week, and there will not be an After Dark episode this week. Because everybody has been putting in a lot of work, not just for PAX and everything, but just over the last year and a half or so. Like we've been doing a lot, between the interviews and all the shows that we do and stuff. And, I was having a conversation about, we've been doing so much that like, I feel like everybody has just kind of been doing the things because this is what we do. And I think I was telling Laurent earlier today. And I just have come to the conclusion that we're going to do what we do. And if we miss something, especially to the patrons, sorry that we missed something, but we're all human and we all have schedules, and everybody works hard on the things that we do put out. And so I guess that's kind of what I'm saying is like, we're going to miss something once in a while, and I'm going to let it go for the first time ever, maybe.
And I'm pretty sure the audience can tell Corey's having a very hard time with that philosophy.
Yeah.
Corey, just think of the song, okay? Just let it go.
The song?
Oh, not
let
that
it go.
song.
Oh,
Oh.
no. No.
Stop.
That song is on repeat in this house because I have a
I
6-year-old
know.
daughter.
You should be able to say it by heart in memory.
I can, and I'm not going to.
Aw.
If we would have gone on for karaoke at PAX, maybe I would have, but now we're not. So can't. You'll never know. You'll have to let that go, Pat. So
When you fly over to Boston, I'm
Mhm.
gonna drag you to a karaoke bar and make you sing it and record it.
I will if you. Sure, I'll do it. I'll do it for you, Steph. I will do it
Yay!
He's gonna let it go.
for you.
Let it go.
Yep, I'll even wear a blue shirt to, be in character. It's gonna be one of those gender swap cosplays. That's what I'm gonna go as. Anyways, I'm scared. It's fine. It'll be fine. It'll be fun. We're gonna have a good time. Speaking of good times, thank you all for being here. Thank you out there for listening. Thank you to all the new listeners who have made an appearance over the last couple months or so too. It's been fun to watch us grow those numbers. Numbers aren't everything, but it's really fun when new listeners come in and participate and ask questions and all that stuff. So thank you for listening. Thank you for subscribing to YouTube, all that stuff. You can support us over on Patreon, patreon.com/Boss Rush Network. For just as little as $1 a month, you get the pre-show to this here podcast. You get Expansion Pass on Nintendo Power Block, which is the post-show. You get After Dark 2 weeks early, Book Club a month early, and a bunch of other stuff. So you can go over there. I don't remember what it all is. It's all written down over there. You can read it. If you can read, that'd be great.
So much content that Corey just
that's what I'm saying. That's what I was trying to say. There's so much that I'm just like, we're going to miss something someday. And I apologize to the patrons who pay for that. But I did have 3 patrons reach out to me and said that we put out an overwhelming amount of content. So
See?
including
Snip.
a person that 3 of us know personally. So
Is this person not on the show right now?
this person's not on the show right now.
Oh.
I mean, it's whatever. It's Celeste. She told me that we put out an overwhelming amount of content. So
we love Celeste.
See, that means you have to listen now.
I know. Anyways, that's it for housekeeping. I'm not going through the whole thing. You know where to find us at Boss Rush Network, bossrush.net, all those things. We do have a lot of things to plug though. We got a lot of PAX coverage. You should check that out on bossrush.net. Stephanie and Lasby killed it with the articles. So many pieces of I had no idea you guys wrote so many articles. I was doing the social media stuff the other day and I was like, oh my gosh, this doesn't end. Where does it end? And it just doesn't end. So shout out to you both. So much coverage. And then Pat, good job to you too. Proud of you too.
What'd I do?
I don't know. I didn't see your name on much, but I'm sure you did something.
I would have loved to contribute, but for some reason my computer literally did not want to work while it was in Seattle. Then I get home and it only half wants to work now, but it's kind of working. But so I still need to get a new laptop.
Yeah. Especially if you're on a video podcast, that might help a little bit. Just a little bit. You know. And then we did a bunch of interviews. The highlight of the show for me was the Sean Velasco interview at Yacht Club. Was awesome. Shout out to Celia, friend of show. for yeah, I know it was not that big of a deal for her, but it was a huge deal for me, and really appreciate it because Yacht Club is one of my favorite developers. Shovel Knight's one of my favorite games of all time. It was awesome. So
And I'm
you check,
definitely going to be checking out that Shovel Knight concert that will be happening next year.
Oh, a
yeah,
concert. That's so
yeah,
Yeah.
cool.
There'll be one in either San Francisco or LA, like something West Coast, and then there'll be one
Mhm.
in New York City. So I'll be definitely going to New York for that.
yeah.
Yeah.
I would like to go to one of those as well. Just because the music
Fun.
is awesome. I love the music of Shovel Knight, especially the opening level. Oh, so good.
Yeah.
Speaking of
They,
overwhelming content, I mean, coming out of PAX, there's going to be a lot of spotlights in our future.
Oh, I know. I know.
mhm.
I know you've got a lot, Stephanie. I know I've got quite a few lined up, or not lined up, but maybe in the works. I have a list of people.
And I
Listen,
will whisper into each of your ears more people to add to that list.
Yes, we've probably got a list long enough for the next year.
hmm
Dang.
Yeah, it's we met a lot of people, so it was awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah. Good
Yeah.
connections.
Yeah, that's the other big thing about cons too, is like the connections are just amazing. So, anybody else have anything cool coming up? Taylor, you have anything cool going on before we get into what we've been playing?
No, I mean, me and my friends were going to try to plan to go to the video game awards in December to see
Ooh,
the show in person. But
oh, that'd be cool.
I know,
That'd be
just to mark it
nice.
off a bucket list, I guess, to go one time.
Mhm.
Oh
But
man,
that's about it.
Boss Rush needs to go to that thing.
I know.
Yep.
Man. Those tickets are public, right? You can buy tickets to that, right?
I think so.
I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
so. My
All
friend
good.
said he was going to try to buy us tickets, so I hope they're public.
Maybe you found them off of a
Maybe he has connections.
yeah.
I don't know.
We're
That's
just
something
gonna
we need
call
to
up
look into.
Keely. Be like, hey Keely, got them tickets for us?
Yeah. Me and Jeff are buds. We're bros. So
Practically share the same shoes.
yeah, he's white. I'm white.
He's tall, you're tall.
Yeah. See, he's
Mhm.
Canadian. I'm not.
But you're from the north side of the state,
Yeah.
so it's almost
Yeah.
Canada.
Yeah. I can see Canada from the lake. It's fine. It's all
Mhm.
good. So somebody get me out of this mess. Let's get into what we've been playing.
much in
Taylor, what are you
common.
playing? You're our guest. You get to go first.
So I played a couple older games. I just replayed them. So I had played them years ago and I replayed them recently. So one of them was the Resident Evil 5, and the other one was Time Splitters Future Perfect.
Ooh, good one.
And the fun thing about these ones was Resident Evil 5, I actually started playing online with my friend, and he came to visit Colorado because he had never been. So I'm like, let's just stop by. So then we actually finished the game in person, couch co op mode, and we also got to play Time Splitters couch co op. And all that made me realize was how much I miss playing couch co op games. Like, to me, it does not even compare to online, like, at all. Like, I had such a blast playing both of these in person with someone like next to me. And I thought the fun part about that is like you get to see their reactions live in person because they're right next to you, and it's just fun. You could joke around and banter, and I don't know, push the other person and whatever you want to do. So it was like super fun, and it just made me realize how much I miss couch co-op games because I feel like a lot of games that come out these days only have online play, and it's like
Mhm.
even if I want to play with my sister, she has to get her own game on a PS5 console. I have to play online with her. There's like no couch co-op, which is a little bit sad. But no, both games were super fun. Resident Evil 5, I feel like a lot of people don't like that Resident Evil much compared to the other ones, but the co-op is what makes it super fun to me, because it's like fun killing zombies together and I don't know,
Punching
healing
boulders
each other.
together and
Yeah, getting attacked by rabid dogs and dying together. I don't know. It's like
Mhm.
it's part of the experience. And Sheva is a super cool protagonist. I love her. I wish she would come back in future Resident Evils. Some of which is like fun to replay. Time Splitters, though, oh my god, I had not played that game in a long time. Like the last time I played it was years ago, and I forgot how funny the Time Splitters games are. I don't know if you guys have played the other Time Splitters games or any of them at all, but it's like a shooter But it doesn't take itself seriously at all. It's super funny. I don't know. I was laughing so hard playing this game with my friend, just at like random dialogue or us, accidentally killing innocent NPCs, or we suck at driving a car and we die in the car because we can't drive it, or we blow up barrels on ourselves or whatever. But it's not a super serious shooter. And if you guys do play it, so Time Splitters Future Perfect's my favorite. So that's the one I'm going to recommend to everyone to play. If you want to play the Time Splitters, I got added to the PlayStation Store, which is why we played it. But the reason that one's just so funny. So I recommend if you're going to play that, there are certain spots throughout the game where you can kind of like eavesdrop on enemies or NPCs talking to each other. Like if you stand outside a door and there's two enemies inside the room, you just hear them talking to each other. And I just recommend waiting there and listening to the whole conversation because there's so many conversations you can just listen to, eavesdrop on, and they're so funny. Like, it's a shooter game and it does not take itself seriously at all. It's just a fun time. So if you do have a friend to play with in person, I do recommend getting that game and playing couch co-op together. It's hilarious, and the story's not very long. And then there's also a good multiplayer with that too. So it has a multiplayer mode that's like really fun to play as well.
The thing about Time Splitters is like when you're like, as somebody who grew up playing in 64 shooters, right? Like that was, GoldenEye and Perfect Dark were like the premier shooters. But then when you get to like the PS2, Xbox, GameCube generation, there's like this clear split, right? You have the games that went the Halo route, right? Which is kind of what first person shooters kind of became on console now. And then you had what Free Radical did with Time Splitters, which is like the fun, goofy kind of, I would say, N64 legacy first person shooters, which just don't take themselves too seriously. There's a lot of fun modes. There's a lot of crazy things going on. I loved Time Splitters. So I'm a Time Splitters 2 person myself, but I also like Future Perfect.
Yeah. I kind of wish I never actually played a Time Splitters, but I keep hearing, like the company was bought out by was it Embracer that did that one?
So Free Radical closed, and then they reopened to do Time Splitters 4 specifically, and then Embracer bought them and then shut them down.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, there is a version of Time Splitters 4 floating around out there that is unfinished.
That's so depressing. That's sad.
Rip Free Radical. So don't do business with Embracer.
Actually, that almost seems to be the policy. Don't do business with any giant organization that promises to fund you.
Right. Dang. Yeah. That's why we support indies around here.
Amen.
So, Yep.
What else are you playing, Taylor?
Okay, so aside from those two, like I said, everyone on Twitter knows I'm obsessed with Genshin. So I'll try not to go on a too long of a tangent. Genshin is like my favorite. I'm obsessed with Genshin, so it's like my favorite game. And they just came out with a really big update. So for those of you guys who don't play, every year, usually around August, September, they drop a huge update, and it's a brand new nation. And so, like I said, for those who don't play, you're kind of journeying across a world called Tevat, and you're going to different nations to meet with like the gods of those nations because you're trying to get information to find your lost sibling is kind of like the main premise of the game. And every nation is super unique. Every nation's based on kind of a country in real life, loosely. Hoyo will say it's not, but it is. But like, so like, there's a nation called Liyue, which is based on China. And that's something I actually really like about Genshin is there's a lot of cultural references in the game. So a lot of the character designs for the characters in Liyue are based on like clothing and stuff in China. A lot of the music there uses like traditional Chinese instruments in the music, in the OST. And then when you go to, let's say, another region is called Inazuma, that's based on Japan. Same thing, character designs in there take inspiration from Japanese clothing, and they use traditional Japanese instruments in the music and stuff. So I always think that's a really unique aspect to that game compared to other open world games is that they do take inspiration from different cultures, and every nation is very different. So the new nation they dropped, that's always a big deal because it means new main story. So it's like, yay, story and plot. And like I said, all the nations are completely different from each other. So this one, it just looks completely different, feels different. They've added different ways to travel, and tons of exploration, which is my favorite part of open world games, is exploring and finding treasure chests and finding new stuff, solving puzzles and stuff. Like, I love that in open world games. So for people, it's a big deal when a new nation drops because it's like, oh my god, there's hours upon hours of exploration to do, and we get to learn about a new region and the people who live in this region, and like, how's that different from the other places. So it's been amazing. I was super obsessed with it for the past couple of weeks, and I already finished exploration because I was playing for several hours a day. I just like locked in.
Nice.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I was like in the mode. But yeah, the one thing I will say that's super cool about this nation is it has tribes, and each tribe's very different from the other tribe. So it's just like fun to visit the tribes. Like one tribe is like people of the springs, and their philosophy, like they're very laid back. They like to relax, play music, have fun. There's another tribe called Children of Echoes, and they like to do mining and they make jewelry and stuff. So it was fun visiting each of the different tribes and like learning about what do the people there do, how do they make a living, how is that different from this tribe in this area. Um, the coolest part about this update is they added these little creatures called saurians, kind of like dinosaur saurians. So it kind of reminds me of Pokemon in a way, but the saurians live among the people, and you get to hang out with them. And there's 3 different types of saurians. There's like a geo dinosaur, there's a water one that swims, and there's a green one that kind of, can swing through the air or whatever. But yeah, it's like that nation. The people live among the saurians, and they're friends, and they work together. This nation, like I said, Def gave me Pokemon vibes. I was like, oh my god, this looks. I feel like I'd be in a Pokemon game right now. And the unique thing they did for this one is they had it so you can control a dinosaur to like travel around the nation. So you can take control of like a geo dinosaur and like dig underground and go mining. You can control like the swimming one to swim faster and jump through the air. Green one, like I said, the green one swings through the air. So it made exploration super fun because a lot of the puzzles and challenges in that area require you to take control of a dinosaur or creature to solve the puzzle. And it just made the exploration super fun. Like I said, I was obsessed with it. I had a really wonderful time with it. And yeah, that's pretty much what I've been playing. So it's been really awesome.
Now, are you able to take those dinosaur creatures out to the other lands now?
No.
No? Darn it.
No, yeah, they're only in that one region. So a little sad.
All right. So, like, let's say someone has not gone into Genshin Impact yet. Like, if they were to begin, like, are they able to just kind of freely explore, or do they have to kind of progress through, I guess, events before they can get to the new Natlan area?
I believe they have to do the first 2 regions. Like there's like the beginner region where the story first starts, called Mondstadt, and then the second one's Liyue. So based on what I know, I think you have to do Mondstadt and Liyue, and once you're done with those, you have free reign to go to any other nation. And there's like 4 other ones aside from that now that Natlan's released. I usually think it's nicer to just go in order of the story that they were released. But one of my friends started playing Genshin like a few weeks ago, and he got done with Liyue, and he randomly went to like Fontaine, and now he's like, oh, I'm gonna go to Natlan. And I'm like, you're doing these all out of order, but it's fine. Do whatever you want to do. So it is kind of nice that they open it in that part to like let you do what you want to do at some point.
Right. Now I know because it's a gacha game that like scares off a lot of people thinking that they're gonna have to spend a whole lot of money. Would you feel like the game obviously gives you characters without having you to spend money. Can you actually go through the game with these characters? Or at some point do you feel like you have to, roll for better characters and able to progress further?
I do think you need to roll for a 5-star character at some point. because for in-game content specifically, they have like in-game content that's like battling, like Spiral Abyss. You have to battle strong enemies. They added a new one called Imaginarium Theater. Same thing, battling really strong enemies. And a lot of the starting characters and characters they give you by default are not good enough, in my opinion, to advance through that. However, you can save up primos, which is the currency of the wish. You can save up primos over time, so you don't need to spend money. Because like I have gotten, when I first started the game, I did go ham throwing money at the game because I was like, I want all these characters. So that was like my first year. I'm on year 4 now. I've been playing for like 3.5 years. I've been playing a long time. But the past year and a half or 2 years or so, I haven't spent almost any money on the game at all because I just save up the primos they give us over time for we just get primos over time from events and stuff. And I've been able to get a bunch of characters without spending any money. So if someone does want to be free to play, you just have to save up for a long time. Like it may take like 3 months of saving primos or 4 months, but you can get characters without spending any money. You just have to be patient.
All right. And I imagine the character roster is very huge right now. Like in terms of earning those characters, do they rotate the characters out, or like are you allowed to get any character at any time?
No, so they rotate them out. So every 3 weeks they run 2 characters. At least for 5 stars, they're called limited banners. So every 3 weeks they run 2 characters, and then once those 3 weeks are over, they'll add another 2 characters to the banner. So if there is a specific character you want, you may be waiting a long time. Like as of now, there's a couple characters. I think it's been over a year. Like I think Shenhei and stuff, or Risley, they haven't reran in like 400 or 500 days or something insane like that, for whatever reason. So I'm really hoping Hoyo comes up with a better system to rerun characters because they keep introducing more and more and more and more. And the fact that one character hasn't had a banner in over an entire year, to me, is a problem. Like, so I'm really hoping they introduce a better system, so people can get characters that they want faster.
All right. One more question. Who would you say are like your 3 favorite characters, and like what are they like right now?
Anyone on Twitter knows who my 2 favorites are. My number 1 is Child. I'm like in love with him. I'm obsessed with him. I love Child so much. He's cool. He is part of the military in this country called Shneznaya. He's a harbinger, and he's part of the Fatui. And a lot of people look down on the Fatui. Like a lot of people think they're shady or they're the bad guys and stuff, which I don't really agree with. I think they're working towards a good cause, and we just don't know it yet. But he's working with what people think are the bad guys. But he's kind of like a morally gray character, but he's very friendly and charming. He's kind of young, like probably 21, 23. We don't have official ages, so it's kind of like a guess. But yeah, he's like a young, charismatic guy, very happy. He loves battling. He's obsessed with fighting. Like that's pretty much his character. He loves his siblings and he loves fighting. And he's fun. He's a hybrid character. He switches between ranged and melee. So I think he's really fun to use. Zhongli's my second favorite. He's well, I guess that'd be a spoiler. I can't say anything. I was gonna say something, but I'm like, that's a story spoiler. But no, Zhongli's super cool. He's a Geo user, and his main thing is can make a shield for your party. So I use him. I never take him out of my party because I use his shield constantly to survive against battles and stuff, and he's super awesome. And then my third favorite, I would say, is Scaramouche. He has a very, very sad backstory. He was your enemy at one point. He's kind of like enemy turned friend. But yeah, his backstory is very, very sad, and he kind of helped him turn over a new leaf, and now he's trying to better his life. And he's very fun to play because he can fly around as part of his skill. So I use him a lot for exploration to just like zoom around and fly around and stuff. So
cool. Now, Genshin's one that I would love to get into. I just don't know if I have the time to.
It's a time suck for sure. Yeah, it's a lot.
I mean, sure you do, Pat.
I struggle with
chipping away.
If we do that, then we won't have anything else for me to talk about other than Genshin.
Yeah, you'll be like, I've been playing it for a month. I can't do anything else.
Awesome.
You know, Sure. Why not? I've played Destiny for 10 years, so I mean, I can't be that different. Just start now, Pat.
He probably understands. It's an ongoing game. You just stick with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They just announced a new roadmap, and it's very yikes. Is that it? Is that the end of that? Okay. If you want to see how you can become a Patreon producer, head on over to patreon.com/BossRushNetwork. The Patreon producers for this month are Adriel Munger, Austin Campbell, Celeste Roberts, Christian S., Sana Dierig, Francisco Santillan, Matthew Keel, and Todd Oxtra. Thanks for your continued support of the Boss Rush Network. Stephanie, you've been away for a while. She forgot.
Probably a lot over the summer, so much so that I can't remember. But more recently, I still haven't finished Mother 3. I had to put that down for a little bit, but I do intend on finishing it. I recently played and completed Peglin, which is a recent indie game. I played it on the Switch. It was put out by Red Nexus Games. It's this cute, technically roguelite pachinko type style game. I think that's kind of why I decided to get it, because I'm like, oh, you drop the ball and it hits that kind of like gambling switch in my brain. But it's cool because wherever it falls determines like how much damage you inflict on your enemies, and there's little different branching paths. So it actually was really fun. I played it my whole flight on the way to PAX West. So I highly recommend it. It is a fun, adorable game. I love the music. I got to meet the guy that was behind the music for Peglin at PAX West. So shout out
That's
to
so
that dude.
cool.
Yeah. I also got a Peglin pin. Haha. Then I played Farewell North. I think I'm at the end, but the Steam Deck battery only lasts for like freaking 20 minutes. That's the one thing I don't like about the Steam Deck. I was playing it on the airplane and it died like halfway through the flight. So, but
Oh my god.
yeah, judging by the narrative of the story, I'm pretty sure I'm at the end. I just haven't officially rolled credits. So, I actually had to message the creator, the dev behind it, because I locked myself um, because I kept, like in Stray, there's a dedicated meow button. In Farewell North, there's a barking button. So the story is, it takes place in the Scottish Highlands, I believe, and you're technically playing as the dog. Chess is the nickname for the dog, and your human companion, this young woman, is kind of revisiting where she grew up. She lost a very close family member, so you are you're the pet that tries to kind of keep her grounded as she processes her grief. Really amazing story. Very light puzzle elements. So I highly recommend Farewell North. It's actually a very, very emotional, touching game. But yeah, there's a dedicated bark button. And as I'm solving a puzzle, I also unlocked an achievement of barking so many times that my human will pet me. So the achievement is I got the pets. But I got the achievement at the same time of unlocking something, so I locked that character in a building. So I messaged the dev. I'm like,
Oh
"Help!
no.
I did something!" So he kind of helped me kind of quote unquote reboot it without having to restart the entire thing. So I just need to plug in my Steam Deck and technically finish the game, but I'm basically there. So Farewell North, highly recommend. It's beautiful visually. The music is beautiful. It's got a lot of like Scottish history
I
and
love music.
and like I said, if you're in for like a warm, heart wrenching, emotional journey, I can't speak highly enough of Farewell North. So. And then last but not least, I started Astrobot. Shamefully, I have not finished it yet just due to scheduling, but it is a lot of fun. I think Sony finally got a game out there that is definitely worthy of a game of the year type situation. So I'll leave it there because I'm sure some of us have also been playing Astrobot. So those are my three main games at the moment.
Yep.
Fun.
Fun fact: the creator of Farewell North was the guy that introduced me to Tim Tams.
That person?
That's the guy who gave me the Tim Tams.
Dang. All
Mm-hmm.
right. Well, that's good to we'll have to thank him soon because I did ask him while I was messaging with him about me locking myself in the game to my own fault. It wasn't
Mm-hmm.
the game. If he wanted to come on a spotlight, and he was more than happy to. So we'll get him on.
Yep, good guy.
Cool. Pat, I'm gonna go your way
Yes.
next.
Okay. Well, as you can imagine, video game season started 2 weeks ago.
What?
And yeah, where all of a sudden all these releases started coming out, and now like we just don't have enough time to play everything, but we try to anyways. Yeah. So that's me right now. I'm trying to play through everything, and sadly, there's stuff I haven't touched yet, like Star Wars Outlaws.
Mm.
I really want to get to, but I got other things.
Wait till they fix it though. That
They
patch
did.
is coming
I thought
soon.
they just patched it. Like
Oh,
a
was that
patch
today?
just. There was a patch today.
Okay.
I saw one today.
Yeah. Okay.
But first and foremost, I did manage to also play good old Astrobot.
I
Yes.
got it. Oh,
Astrobot.
cute.
Oh yeah, this controller is absolutely beautiful. It's shiny, it stares at you the entire time, and it's got some really nice details on it. But it's adorbs. Steph, you'll get yours here pretty soon.
Yay!
Mm-hmm. Yeah, fun fact. I was trying to beat a whole bunch of scalpers into getting these, and I accidentally ordered two because I thought one of them didn't go through. So I got two.
Hmm.
Yep. So anyways, Astrobot. I will preface this and say Astrobot is probably one of the best 3D platformers I've ever played. And I love my 3D platformers. Like uh, they're not kidding. This is quality that you see out of Nintendo. This game, like it is absolutely charming. It is adorable. It is a lot of fun with its gameplay. There are a lot of like the levels themselves. Each one feels unique and doesn't feel like they reused a gimmick from a prior level. Like they're all like different, which I can definitely appreciate because sometimes you get through a platformer and it's like, let's do like 8 grass levels and let's do like 8 desert levels. And no, it's they keep cycling or they do different like backgrounds for all these different levels. And each like they may have like a different gimmick in it. But there's just so much love put into this game. It's a very simple story. This alien kind of crashes into your ship, which causes it to fall into pieces, and now you have to go and find all the main parts of the PlayStation 5, which is what your ship looks like, and rebuild it together. As well as also find 304 of your lost buddies that got scattered through all these little like star nebulas.
304.
304.
Oh my god.
But
That's a lot.
each level has like 7, like anywhere
Okay.
from like 5 to 7, unless it's a boss battle, in which case it's usually just one. But that the boss battles are something separate that I'll get to. What's cool about this is that even though there's 304 bots, 169 of them are very unique. Like they are based on characters from the PlayStation library, and not just PlayStation, like Sony exclusive characters. We're talking about characters from Konami. We're talking about characters from Capcom. Even, Sega has a few characters thrown in there for good measure. Strangely enough, though, the only company I didn't see any characters for was Square Enix, which I felt was kind of a slap just because Final Fantasy definitely has a place on PlayStation. Final Fantasy VII right now is a PlayStation exclusive.
Hmm.
So you would think there would be some sort of Final Fantasy love, but No Square Enix characters, strangely.
Yeah, that is
Uh,
odd.
yeah, but you'll find things like some of the first ones you'll unlock is obviously Ratchet, from Ratchet and Clank. You can find Crash Bandicoot, but then you'll find some really obscure ones that even I don't even know what games they're from. But they range all the way down to like PlayStation 1 to even like PlayStation prototypes. Um,
Wow.
yeah. And they all have these cute little animations too on the hub world. Like you smack them and then they do something like really cute. So for example, what does I want to try and think of one. Okay. I'm a big Yakuza fan. The Yakuza Like a Dragon
Mm.
series, and Kiryu, the main protagonist from that series, is one of the bots. And if you smack him, he drops items, and you can smack him a lot, and he just drops random items, onto the ground, ranging from chickens to uh, construction cones to signs, and billboards, like just all the random things that you can kind of pick up in the game. He just drops when you smack him. But it's just cute what all these little bots can do. Also, this game has incredible boss fights. Like they are cinematic. Well, they're very action packed. They're staged in a way. Like they will they're telegraphed like there's certain moves. And when you do damage, they kind of up like do something else. But they are a lot of fun. And what else can I say? The very last level of each nebula is themed after a PlayStation mascot, that you save after you beat the boss. And what's really cool is it kind of shifts up the gameplay to whatever the game that it's representing at the time. Um, and it also remixes the theme songs to these games. So there are like, I don't want to spoil any of them, but they're recognizable like PlayStation mascots, and their theme songs are just amazing. Like the level called Dude Rating, probably has my favorite like soundtrack out of all of them. But it's this game is also has the difficulty for just about everyone. If you want to just blast through the main game, the main worlds are fairly simple. There's not too much of a challenge. If you die, it's got very generous checkpoints. You don't have any lives you have to worry about. Like you just kind of restart at the checkpoint and continue on. But for those who want to challenge themselves and get all the bots, they also have like little side worlds optional to the main path that are just they can be a challenge. They will test your platforming skills. So it's got a bit for everyone, but it's an amazing game.
Yeah, I definitely want to get it. Probably for the next few weeks or next month. I definitely want to get it because I've heard nothing but like amazing things about it.
Yeah, no, I can't honestly. I can't really think of anything like bad to say about this game. It
Mm.
truly is a work of art, and I'm happy that Team Asobi got the chance to actually make what was originally a tech demo for the PSVR and then the PS5, that they finally got to actually make their own game. So, if you ever want to try it out and you're curious what the game's like, I honestly played the Astrobot Playroom that's on the PlayStation 5. The gameplay is extremely similar to that. Um, so yeah, that was Astrobot, and I platinumed it. It's platinum number 89 for me.
Dang, way to go!
Yep.
Nice.
All right. Next one is Visions of Mana, a very, very gorgeous game. I am a huge fan of the Mana series, and I was very excited to hear that they brought the team back together, only to rip the team apart the day after the game came out. Sad, but it's a beautiful game. Like the game is absolutely gorgeous, and it fit like every area I've been to. It's very colorful, very naturey. I mean, it's interesting to see such a it's an animated world, but it's also like the ray tracing in the game's like fantastic for like animation. It feels very alive, the world. Um, the combat is, very fast, and what else? The story is absolutely beautiful right now. It's about these characters are called up to be what are called alms, and they are to sacrifice themselves to the mana tree so that their villages don't get destroyed from some sort of calamity that happens. And you are the alms guard or the soul guard, and your job is to get them to the mana tree. Um, and one of the alms just also happens to be someone who's very clearly your childhood friend that is also of romantic interest, and you can just see their interactions together, and it's cute, it's playful, and you know that it's probably something's going to turn very sour soon in the story. I don't know. That's just kind of what I'm feeling because that's
Mhm.
usually how those like stories work. But like just it's a gorgeous game. I cannot stop just staring at the world itself. Um
Is that part of, like, the same game line as Secrets of Mana?
it is.
Or
I'm not sure where it fits in the timeline because
Oh, okay.
honestly, the timeline kind of doesn't even follow the order. Like Secret of Mana is one of the later ones in the series, where like Trials of Mana is like one of the first ones, but Trials is 3, Secret is 2. I
Mm,
think Dawn of Mana technically was the first one, but that's number 4. So I'm not sure. This one, though, it technically is mainline number 5.
okay.
Yeah. Which doesn't really mean too much in terms of his story because they, aside from a few of the side games, the stories don't really connect with each other that much. They just kind of follow
Oh, okay.
similar themes like Final Fantasy.
That's what I was about to ask, because 'cause I've only played Secret of Mana, so I wasn't sure if they were, like,
Hmm.
connected to each other story-wise or if they're kinda more standalone-y.
Yeah, no, there I would definitely lean more towards standalone. I know
Okay.
the third game is connected to a couple of the spin-offs, but that's about all I can really not say in terms of them actually being connected. Um, but yeah, I'm very much enjoying it. I wish I had more time with Visions of Mana, but I also picked up Emil the Smiling Man, which will be our book club for November. So it's a visual novel, and it's a very mature story about a middle school teenager gets murdered, and they find this smiling paper bag on his head, which was
Oh, wow.
reminiscent of a urban legend about a man who wears a smiling paper bag, and if he sees you crying, he will tell you that he will, that you don't have to be sad much longer, and he will give you a forever smile, which means he's going to
That's
kill you and
pretty
put a paper
dark.
bag on his
Yeah.
head.
That's dark.
Yeah. So you're part of a detective agency that is trying to solve this murder based on an urban legend that may be also based on murders from a years ago that were unsolved. So there's a couple different angles going on with it. I'm about halfway through the story, but it's good. Like there are parts in it that like feel like tense, like in terms of your investigations, and then there's other parts where like it you feel for some of the characters uh that kind of like are involved in the incidences. But it's a good story, and I look forward to talking about that one on book club. And then finally today I picked up Yars Rising, and it's a cute little Metroidvania with cartoonish anime dialogue and a really kicking soundtrack that plays during the game. I don't know anything about yours though, so
Yar's Revenge is the best-selling Atari 2600 game of all time, and this is the apparent. I was so at PAX West. I was talking to James Montagna, who's a friend of the show, but he's also the game director in this game.
hmm
He works at Way Forward, and he was telling me that this is actually the 12th game in the series, and I'm like, what?
Yeah,
Whoa.
I didn't know it was that.
So
many.
there's 3 on the Atari 2600, or like the Atari 2652, whatever that line of consoles are. There was one on the Jaguar, there's one on the Lynx, and then there's like some mobile stuff. But he said he just wanted to do something really different um, with this franchise because in the 80s it was a beloved franchise, and he wanted to make it fun and recognizable again, instead of the joke that it's kind of become because it's so tied to the Atari 2600 and the crash of the video game industry. So
Yeah, like I know nothing about it. The only reason I picked this up was because I played the demo at PAX and I
mhm,
really enjoyed what I played.
mhm,
Um,
yeah,
and it's still fun. It doesn't really do anything different from most Metroidvanias, other than they have a hacking mini game that I guess is based off of how the old
mhm,
Yars Revenge plays.
mhm,
So
yeah.
little 8-bit
It's
character wandering around the screen.
Yeah, it's cool. The save points are actually based off 1970s Atari arcade machines. Um,
Yeah, they do kind of
and
have a sleek.
and all the bosses represent different Atari franchises. This is all
Really?
stuff that James was telling me.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
so cool.
Mhm.
Like there's a combat boss where like it's just like this giant tank that you fight, but it's based off of combat, and um, there's a few other ones too. I don't want to spoil them, but um, I did try to play this. Atari sent me a code like a month ago for this, and the Switch version was extremely broken until about a week ago, and I just haven't had a chance to go back and play it. I was
Mm.
supposed
Oh
to review
no.
it, but the Switch version was broken, and I didn't want a PC code because, well, I'm
Oh.
not a PC person. So
I know Lasby has a code. He's working on it. I bought mine
yeah,
because I don't ever request codes.
yeah.
I should. It would save me money, but I just feel weird about it.
To be
I
fair, I
don't
didn't
know.
request this either, but they just sent it to me. But I was just like, meh, whatever.
Hmm. But
Um,
yeah, it's typical Metroidvania. But it feels a lot more straightforward and less explory than like other Metroidvanias out there. The
mhm.
paths, even though they're twisty, they're very linear. They're obviously pointing you into a direction without too many deviations. So, but it's cute. It's got its history. If you are a fan of Metroidvanias or Yars, I'd say recommend it. Otherwise, there's still other things out there.
Yeah. Well, I'll just blow through mine real quick because really I've been trying to play some games, but I haven't really had a lot of time, and I've just kind of been burnt out from the whole games thing since
Hmm.
PAX. But playing Echoes of Wisdom really made me think about my lack of finishing Link's Awakening. So I'm on the last dungeon of Link's Awakening. It should be
Yay.
done by the next time we record.
Are you
So
talking about Turtle Rock, or are you talking about the final dungeon?
the final dungeon.
Okay, the one with
No,
the
I'm
maze that you had
yeah,
to walk through.
yeah, yeah.
Okay,
I'm using a guide from our friends over at Zelda Dungeon, so I don't screw anything up. Um,
you did go to the library to find out what the path is, right?
I went to Zelda Dungeon to find out that I had to go to the library to go to the
Okay,
path.
because
Um,
that the dungeon path is random in every playthrough, so the walkthrough
yeah,
would not help you there.
no, I Zelda Dungeon said go to the library because it's different. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, whatever. So I've been playing through that. I've been playing Animal Well. Um, and I like it. It's very cute. It's very charming. I don't know why I thought this game looked different than it looks, but this was not what I was expecting it to look, even though I've seen trailers of this game like several times. Several times.
Mhm.
Um,
Are you talking different in a good or a bad way?
no, I think it's prettier than I thought it looked originally.
Mhm.
I'm playing it on Switch. I'm not too far, so I don't really have a lot to say yet, but it's very charming. It's very cute. I like the movement and the fun things that you find. I will probably have more to say next week as well. But the one thing I did a lot of this weekend that has nothing to do with games really is I started drawing again. and
Oh, that's
um,
awesome.
I'm very happy with this first thing that I'm doing. It will be public once it's finished. Some people have seen it, and I'm very excited to show it. But I just it's something I haven't done in a while. And while we were at PAX, people were talking about art and drawing, and we went to some of those stores that had a lot of those, a lot of art in them. And then, Stephanie, we saw those paintings that those, uh, traditional things that you usually get of the different games. And so that was cool. And so that I was like, I got to do something. So that's what I did.
No, I'm happy that you're jumping back into that. You
Yeah,
have
I
some
love
really
that.
good pictures.
Yeah, I'm trying. It's something I miss doing. And between, PAX and my daughter is really into art and crafting. And I just thought it was time. I haven't drawn anything really significant since like before the pandemic. So,
Mhm.
like,
Mm.
I mean, doodles here and there, but nothing like
Mhm.
real. So,
What do you
uh,
draw? Is it like scenery or video game stuff
um,
or?
well, right now I'm drawing a rendition of the light dragon from Tears of the Kingdom.
Ooh.
But it's usually random. I try to dabble in everything.
Mhm.
I would say my art style is a jack of all trades and a master of none. um, would be what I like to point to, but yeah, it's I don't know. I'm shocked at how not to like I don't like talking about how good my art is because I don't think it's very good a lot of the times, but for not drawing anything seriously for like 7 or 8 years, this turned out pretty good, pretty damn good. Uh in my opinion. Maybe it
Can't wait
sucks.
to
I
see the
don't know.
final product.
I
Yeah.
know.
Have you ever thought
So
of maybe like almost a yin yang version, like not a, okay, I don't know where I'm going with this. Light dragon and with the demon
The
dragon.
demon dragon. Yeah.
that was
Mm.
that was an original thought, but I was like,
Oh,
let
and they're
me
like
let me
intertwirling together and like fighting.
Yeah,
Or
so I
like,
did think about doing that, but I thought that was pretty ambitious for a first try back.
Yeah.
So I'm like, maybe I'll try one, and then if I'm feeling really frisky afterwards, maybe I'll get that second one in there.
Nice.
But yeah, that's kind of what I've been doing. But
That's awesome.
Mhm.
uh, so yeah, so let's get into these segments real quick. I know we've kind of been running long already, but I do kind of want to talk about the big news that kind of came out today, which was the PlayStation 5 Pro. Everybody, it's pretty cheap, right? We're all gonna get one,
Mhm.
right? We're all
Very
gonna,
So
affordable.
affordable.
skip grocery shopping the next year and go get one.
Get those second and third jobs going.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Maybe sell a kid or two.
yeah,
And a
uh,
kidney.
yeah. So this week's weekly segment is conference call. Obviously, Sony did their digital technical talk today. They, walked Mark Cerny out there with his. I never really understood his haircut thing going on.
It's like he's a mixture of Garth from Wayne's World, but he has
Wayne's
the
World.
voice of Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, but
It's a
not
weird
funny.
combination.
It's like
It
Ryan
is.
Reynolds isn't funny. um, but yeah,
No,
so
he's got that voice though. It's that buttery smooth voice where it's kind of flowery and you don't know if he's being sarcastic or just really cute right now. That kind of thing.
wow. Do you think Mark Cerny's cute, Pat? Are you trying to tell us something here? Or are you
He
gonna...
is kind of adorable.
Yeah.
I would let him talk me to sleep.
Oh.
Jeez. Anyway, PlayStation 5 Pro was announced. The diskless, no disk drive, no disk drive
Mm.
separately. The disk drive is separate for $69.99. By the way, everybody out there, $699 this console. That was a bombshell. I was like,
Mhm.
I mean, when the PlayStation 3 was announced, the $599 became an instant meme. It's still a meme, right? And it's like, dang, man, they went over the meme. This is the new meme standard.
2.0 meme.
I mean, we're not talking about a brand new system. We're talking about an upgraded system.
Upgrade.
Yeah.
And they upgraded it by 200 on the disc version.
Yeah. Yeah, which is crazy, and which means, you know, by the time you pay tax and everything, like the disc drive, adding the disc drive to it, you're going to be paying almost $800 for this thing if you want a physical thing.
It's probably going to be like $830 or $840 because I think an add-on disc is $80 just for the add-on for the disc.
Yeah.
You think
Yeah.
they're doing that
Tax will
because
be
they're
wild.
trying to be hip and discless like Xbox is, or because I mean I'm a fan of physical, but that doesn't mean the rest of the world is trending in that direction.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
I think the way these companies are going, and Nintendo's going this way too, right? Is like they want to give you as many options as possible. But I think in PlayStation's case, like the option, like the lack of the option, and you have to pay extra for the option is strange. You know, I have a digital PS5 under my TV. I don't even remember the last time I turned it on, to be honest with you. But for me, for Xbox and PlayStation, and I guess PC just by default, like the way games are updated and, you know, patched and everything, it is not worth it for me to have physical copies anymore. It's just not. Nintendo games, I still buy physical. I think that's just growing up with Nintendo and having that collection of Nintendo games, and Nintendo just, you know, naturally being behind everybody else by 15 years technologically is, you know, and their games come out polished on the cartridge, you know?
Yeah, that's the big difference is the games are complete. You know, all these PlayStation games need patches and patches to actually be what they're supposed to.
Yeah, the two examples for me of the digital stuff, right, is Destiny, obviously ongoing game. The stuff on the disc isn't even in the game anymore, like because of their content vaulting program where they take old content out of the game, and like the stuff on the disc isn't even in the game anymore. And then Shadow of the Tomb Raider was the big one, right? Single player game, right? You expect it to be, you know, kind of ready to go. There is a version of the ending of the game on the disc that is completely different than the patched ending. Like it's a different boss, it's a different ending, it's a different story, and you can look it up on YouTube, the different, like the story differences in the like just the difference in general. It's crazy, and it's like, well, somebody who doesn't have their console connected online is going to play this experience, and then somebody else is going to play this experience, and it's just going to be different. And so that's where I kind of called it. Plus, like with Game Pass and PlayStation Plus stuff, like you're going to get that digital library naturally anyway. So it's like, I don't know if it's really worth it to have physical anyway, but those were the two examples. But I still think it's good to have choice, and it's always nice, especially for gifts and stuff. If you're going to give a gift to somebody, like, oh, you're going to wrap up one of these like $100 PSN gift cards and give them to somebody? No, no, you like, it's always nice to open a box, right?
You know,
And
I mean, if they go that route, like PlayStation needs to at least get a gift program going, like Xbox. You know how you're able, or Steam, like how you're able to just like, hey, I really like this game, you know, let me buy it for you digitally.
Like gifting someone a game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
they should have that by now, in my opinion. I feel like that should just be a thing.
Yeah. Xbox has had that since the 360, which is crazy to think about. And it's just, I think the big mistake was not including the disc drive with this thing. Like if somebody wants it a digital platform, include that kind of plate, right, to take over the disc drive, take the disc drive off, put that plate on, whatever. But I think it's a huge mistake to charge $700 for a console that has relatively minimal upgrades to games, except for maybe first party games, right?
Yeah, there's only a small list of games that are actually going to be up-res to Pro.
Yeah. And I saw this meme going around today where it's like the first game they showed off on the PS5 Pro was a PlayStation 4 game. I'm like, oh my god, because they were
Very
showing The
true.
Last of Us Part 2,
Mhm.
which
Oh.
granted has a PS5 remaster, but still,
Mhm.
oh my gosh, come on, couldn't have at least showed Spider-Man 2 or something.
Mhm.
So I don't know what does everybody think about this $700 console. I mean, I would just assume that none of us are going to upgrade to this thing.
I cannot
No, yeah,
afford it. My standard PlayStation 5 is fine.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Like, personally, I do not see any need to upgrade. Like, all the games that I've ever played on my PS5 run perfectly fine. I don't see any reason to upgrade. Like, I'd rather wait till the PS6 or whenever that comes out, however many years from now. I'm kind of the same as you. I know it's very controversial for it to be $700 without a disk drive. Um, I'm kind of like half physical, half digital because I do understand the appeal of digital because I don't have to get up and change the game. I'm just like, I'm done with this game. I'm just going to load up this game. And I'm just like chilling. You know, I don't have to get up and change out the cartridge or disc or anything. So I've been kind of leaning more towards digital, but like I like to buy games I love physically. Like I love the Final Fantasy 16. If I want to get a super fancy steelbook case or collector's edition of that, like I'm gonna get physical because I want that. So there were some games. I guess nowadays they kind of give you a digital code too. I think right when you get collector's editions, or I don't know.
Yeah,
Only
I
if
guess
the game does not come out right away.
a lot of Xbox boxes now, you have the option of getting a code in a box. That was the big deal with Redfall's launch. Right? I mean, not that Redfall was that great anyway, but they were originally planning on putting a slip of paper in a box and being like, "You need to download this," and it's like, then why? So I can have this nice piece of plastic take up room on my shelf, I guess. And that's kind of been the complaint about Call of Duty for a while, is like the only thing on the disc is the license to play it. It's not even like there's no data on the disc except for the license to play the game, because everything is housed within the Warzone client now, I guess. And then you kind of just pick and choose which sections of Call of Duty you want to download and play. So yeah, I mean, but then there's companies that made a huge deal of having physical, like Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth, right? 2 discs, the entire game is going to be ready on the disc at launch, right? Which was a big deal. That's a huge deal these days. I don't know if they ever patched it or not, but I'm sure there was a patch or two, right? Probably stability patch or something.
Well, the way. Oh, sorry.
Oh no, go ahead.
Well, I was going to kind of try to veer to the actual Pro itself. So I know that there's the whole diskless disc thing, but I'm trying to figure out in my own mind, is the actual upgrade itself worth the additional $200? So I pull up the PlayStation blog, and the highlights are an upgraded GPU. What that essentially means is that it has a 28% faster memory, 45% faster rendering for gameplay. What that does is it makes a smoother experience. And second is advanced ray tracing, twice to 3 times of the speed of the PS5 for ray tracing, if that means anything to you. And quote unquote AI driven upscaling, which essentially uses machine learning to provide a sharper image clarity. So when I see that, I'm like, I don't know. I feel like my PS5 currently does a fantastic job. Like, would my normie eyes notice a difference? Like, I feel like most
That's what I'm wondering.
Yeah.
people would.
A lot of
funny.
those comparisons, like I was straining to try and figure out what the difference is, and any difference that I saw, to me, was not worth $200.
Yeah,
I
none
think
of
the
this.
only people that would notice the difference are the same people who are like, "Oh, PC's better because of it has like." Then they run off all the statistics on
Yeah,
frame rates.
yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Laurent.
I know. I was
Love you,
gonna say
Laurent.
I can hear Laurent right now.
And
It's
then he's
funny
going
though,
to
because
mention
like
Rogue Ally.
the next Switch is supposed to have all this kind of not all of this stuff, but like it's supposed to have the upgraded GPU and the AI driven upscaling through the NVIDIA chip that they're using. And it's just like Nintendo can really come out with a home run if they're just like, well, our console's $400 and you can take it with you. And you know, oh, Mario looks great. His whiskers on his mustache just wistfully blow in the wind, right? Like, I mean, I don't know. We are getting to a point of diminishing returns on graphics, right? Especially photorealistic graphics, which I think is what this is intended for stuff like The Last of Us or Uncharted or the next God of War or Horizon, right? But like, you look at something like Fortnite or even something like Genshin Impact, where like those games will not benefit from any of this stuff because they're already maxed out of where they're going to be.
What about Minecraft?
And I mean, yeah, Minecraft too, though, right? It already has 120 hertz mode and ray tracing on the next gen versions that aren't. I don't know if they're out yet or not, but like all that stuff already exists, and you can do that stuff on the Series S. It's not even like the Series X either. The Series S, which is like a significantly less powerful console. So this just screams like I have an amazing setup. I have to have the best of the best no matter what. And if I can see it, awesome. I'm cool. If not, well, I can just brag to all my friends that I have a Pro. And if this console was like a $500 console, right? And they dropped the price of the other ones, I'd be like, okay, well, even if it was $550, I would be like, okay, that might be worth an upgrade to most people, especially if you have a launched console or, you play it all the time and you're ready to, kind of trade up or replace it or something. But man,
you know what they could have added to make the 700 price point like a lot easier to swallow? The emulation software that they promised.
Oh, for the old,
be able to
games,
play PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 3 games, on your PlayStation 5. Like, I think a lot more people.
So cool.
Yeah. And I can't imagine that would cost that much.
Well,
to do so.
The PlayStation 3 stuff, not to make this about the PlayStation 3, because who cares about that console? But the reason why PlayStation 3, obviously the cell processor has a lot to do with that, the trouble in emulation, but the way companies use the cell processor, every company used it different. So every game requires a different emulator. Theoretically, to emulate the way that those companies intended to use it, so those games can run correctly.
Okay, that's like complicated then.
Yeah. Plus, like a lot of the, well, not a lot, but most of the games have already been updated to a PlayStation 4 version, like the Nathan Drake Collection or the Last of Us Remastered or whatever. So, like, would you even bother emulating those? I don't know. I mean,
for Sly Cooper, yes.
There's quite a few, right?
Sly Cooper is what I thought of.
I mean, yeah, there's quite a few, right? Like the old God of War games, I would totally repurchase, right? Or, like Sly Cooper, Jak and Daxter. Well, I guess Jak and Daxter is natural. Whatever, what I mean.
Jak and Daxter actually has. They have their games on the PlayStation that you can download, but all of them.
Yeah, this stuff just $700. Man, that is such a hard pill to swallow. I was thinking, I'm like, if the next Nintendo console is $400, that is, I can buy the next console, whatever their Pro Controller version is, if I want it, if the old ones don't work, and like 2 or 3 games at launch for $700, right? That's just so expensive. Or that's like my next trip to PAX. Like, I'm not wasting that on a console upgrade.
That's true.
So I kind of think this is a little bit ridiculous.
No.
So
I'm going to say, people who want to get this system, I'm happy for you. Like, if this is what you want and this is what you're looking for, by all means, get the system. Like, we're not trying to shit on it and say that it's horrible, but for a lot of us, it just doesn't make sense for us to get it.
Yeah. I mean, the amount I play my PlayStation mixed with my budgeting is this just doesn't make sense for someone like me, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure it'll be great. I'm sure games a year from now will maybe be eating our words right now, but like for now, it's like, meh, gross. So yeah, PlayStation 5 Pro, everybody.
November 7th or 9th.
Yep.
One of those
Somewhere.
2 days.
Somewhere in there.
Mm-hmm. 2 terabyte SSD though. That
yeah, that's a good chunk, right?
Yeah.
So
that's most of that money right there.
You can buy a digital Series X this fall for $500 with a 2 terabyte drive, though. So not that I'm like comparing the two consoles or anything.
You know, it's funny. I read on Twitter someone was arguing that the whole reason Sony priced this at $700 is Xbox's fault because they're not good competition for Sony, and so Sony can do whatever they want. It's like, really, that you make this about Xbox?
This is where I insert my favorite meme, the Sure Jan meme. Oh, it's my favorite meme. I love it. Speaking of love, let's move on to our final thing here and talk about some indie games. This is our Boss Rush Banter of the Week from David Lasby. Indie developers are critically important to the gaming industry. So we've talked a lot about layoffs at these major AAA studios, right? Rocksteady just had a whole slew of layoffs. A lot of studios have closed recently. You know, Bungie has lost a ton of people. There's just so many who go down the list, right? There's probably 12,000 people who have been laid off this year. But I think the rise of indie games is kind of filling that hole in which these AAA games maybe aren't hitting. Holes.
Mm-hmm. Your favorite word.
Yeah. So I just I want to know how you feel the indie, like how the indie games are filling the gaps, right? And Stephanie, I'm going to go your way first since you are queen of the indies.
Did you mean to say gaps though, or did you meant to say a different word?
I think you meant to say holes.
Yeah.
Holes.
Stephanie, tell me how the indies are filling your holes.
Whoa. Whoa.
Oh man.
They fill every single one.
Christ.
Because it's just a variety.
That's getting clipped out somewhere.
No. Anyway, I am so grateful to discover indie games. I discovered them a little bit late because I do feel like your average quote unquote gamer or casual gamer wouldn't regularly hear about indies, although it's getting better, especially with the Switch. The Switch has kind of become an indie machine, especially in the beginning. I think like around 2017, 2018, when Hades, went on there and a bunch of other examples.
Don't forget Shovel Knight Spectre of Torment.
Yes.
That was a good one.
Indies is where developers, for the most part, have that creative license to think outside the box, where sure they're trying to make a living, but the bottom line isn't the priority. So I feel like a lot of AAA titles kind of get lost into making a profit and trying to hit um, cast a wide net and get as many players as possible. Whereas with indies, you're getting a little bit, experimental, right, with gameplay styles, revisiting certain graphics. Um, for example, at PAX, I tried out Feltopia, which is still very early, and Unleaving. Those are art medium based, like Unleaving's made out of paintings. Um, Feltopia is actually made out of, like, I don't know how you want to describe it, Pat. You were there. It's felt like it's physical.
It was great. Like we saw that making a video and just like all the handwork that it went to like fluff the felt and to make it like moving and like a stop motion picture. It was gorgeous.
Exactly. So I could ramble on forever on what indies contribute to the video game industry, but what I also hope is that there's strength in numbers, right? They're, you see a lot of indies at PAX. You see indies starting to make a dent in like the video game awards, has its own category. Um, I want the indie scene in gaming to, in a sense, collectively provide quote unquote competition for the AAA games and provide a balance, so to speak. Uh, but I guess I'll just stop there and kind of invite others to chime in.
Mhm. Yeah, I will definitely say the indies are very much needed in our world today. I with your AAA development cycles now taking anywhere from 5 to 8 years to make a game, these indie games are being produced, because there's so many smaller companies. We're getting those like voids between AAA titles like filled. And also like just some of the quality that I see in these indie titles in terms of their storytelling, they probably rival, if not more indie games tend to have better stories than actual like AAA developed games. Like I think I probably like teared up more on the stories from the indie games that I played more than I have from say like The Last of Us or like other big titles.
Yeah, like Space for the Unbound, right?
Exactly. Like
And
I still can't find a story that's almost damn near perfect as the Space for the Unbound was.
yeah, and I gotta say, it also proves that you don't need to have a multi-million-dollar budget to produce a quality game. I really hope those
Mhm.
are lessons that the juggernauts can take.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Yeah. And I mean, even not just in like you're talking about budgets and stuff. I mean, look at Helldivers. That game had a budget of like $40 million. It wasn't like this one of these 100 million, $200 million games, and it was a huge success. Or like you look at something like Stardew Valley. I mean, that guy made that game in his basement over the course of like 4 or 5 years, and now he's like a millionaire, right? Like because that game was so successful. And I mean, that game was done in free time. That game had literally zero budget
Hmm.
except for time, right?
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
um, but then but then you look at games like the Hoyoverse games, which they spend hundreds of millions of dollars a year just to keep those games going. Which, granted, they make that money back in
Hmm.
tenfold, right? But like
Mhm.
it's the ongoing games and stuff like that are expensive, and you just need a break from these huge quadruple A games, right? And like, don't get me wrong, I love Destiny, I love Gears of War, I love Uncharted, I love Tomb Raider, I love these experiences. They're awesome. I love the blockbuster stuff, but like over the course of the last 5 years or so, I've really learned how to appreciate the smaller independent titles. And um they have started to mean more to me than these you know giant corporation funded shareholder expectation games, because they're all kind of beginning to become the same. I mean, look at,
Mhm.
as excited as I am for Star Wars Outlaws to play that and for Assassin's Creed Shadows, like I know what I'm getting. you know Star Wars is like an open world shooty bang bang Star Wars game, right? Or Assassin's Creed is, oh, we're in Japan this time instead of Rome or Egypt.
Mhm.
It's like I know what I'm getting into. So um, the indie space really allows for experimentation, and a lot of them turn out really cool. And then you can see where their inspiration comes from, right? I mean, I know I brought up Shovel Knight quite a bit on this show, but like that is their Mario. Like you can very clearly see that, like the inspirations from Mega Man and DuckTales and stuff like that. And
Mhm.
with their new game Mina the Hollower, you can clearly see, well, there's definitely Castlevania and Zelda inspirations here. But that's all self-funded. That's all kickstarted. No investor, right? Like they want to do it
Hmm.
themselves, and I applaud them for that, because they are big enough to, you know, go seek
Yep.
a publisher to make their next game. And
Yeah,
Yacht Club
they're making the
is
game that they want to do. They're not
yeah.
making a game that
Mhm.
someone tells them what to do.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a big difference. I'd say I've only played 2 indie games. So I'm not like well versed in them, but my very first indie game ever was Hollow Knight, and then my second one was Hades. Um, and I like them because similar to like what Corey was saying, to me they offer something I don't get with any other game, like the AAA games of like or popular games out there, you know. Like to me there's nothing like Hades out there, nothing that can compare to Hollow Knight to me. And so for me, they filled like a special space for me. And I've been interested in trying more indies. I just didn't have time because I was busy in college for the past few years and other stuff going on. But I have like a list of indies I've been interested in getting into. But it's like, despite how many games I've played in my life, like for me, Hollow Knight and Hades would be top 10 for sure. Like, those are 2 of my favorite games I've ever played, ever. Um, I was like obsessed with them. I love the story. I think that's something you mentioned, Patrick, how they make you feel emotional, like the indie
Mhm.
games you've played, and I think that's a big deal to me. Is like, I feel like they do a good job storytelling. Like I thought Hades' storytelling was really good. Hollow Knights was fantastic. Like I was so in love with piecing the story together for that as well.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, no, I think they're amazing. And yeah, I'm hoping I can make time to play more indie games in the future to experience more stories and whatnot.
Well, one last thing I wanted to add that maybe isn't as common, but I appreciate. My first question, though, will be to you, Corey. Um, Hellblade, the first, well, was that Ninja Theory,
Mhm.
right? Are they technically
Yep.
considered indie? So
Yeah.
the other
Yeah. That
aspect
first one is. Yeah.
is the social justice, so to speak, that indies tend to have, ranging from Corgi's Cozy Hike, our friends at Scalisco, indie devs, they donate a portion of any of their profits to, getting like taking care of dogs and shelters. Okay, there was another type of indie game that had to do with animals. It was on an Indie World Showcase, so I apologize, I don't recall the name, but a part of the proceeds go towards animals and shelters. And then you've got Ninja Theory with Hellblade, which paid very special attention to mental health and mental illness. So there are things, again, that's beyond making a profit, where they're actually contributing to society, whether it's to help our furry friends or to shine light on mental health and going, hey, you're not alone.
Mhm.
There are these things that I think provides true value to the consumer.
Mhm.
Yeah, remember when we talked to the people in Psychroma, or the developers of Psychroma, and
Mhm.
how like they purposely went with like gender fluid characters
Yep.
because it helped them like explain about how their perception of being what they consider themselves to be is scary. And or at least to the outside world comes off as scary, and it's a way that they were describing the fear of like their identity in
Mhm.
almost like this psychological horror game that they created.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
these are stories that you can't really tell anywhere else but a medium, and it's the indie developers that want to tell this story because it's personal to them. They know they may or may not make them the most money, but it's what they want to tell.
Yeah. And going back to Hellblade for a minute, like that was that series is for me is like one of the most impactful series for me. You know, when I played through it, I guess it would have been the second time I played through the first game. Um, that's when I really started to take my own personal mental health seriously. And then kind of went and searched for some resources to try to figure out how to help myself. Most of them came from our friends from Guardians Mental Health, which is the mental health organization that kind of started around Destiny, but now kind of does a lot of other things. Obviously, they've grown a lot since then. We actually did a spotlight with Joe Telesk, their executive director, and he's just an awesome guy. I really missed him at PAX West this year, but we'll see him next at East. So um,
Mhm.
it's Hellblade. was kind of one of those experiences where you can tell a really impactful story without, like everybody's like, I know The Last of Us is like a beloved game and stuff like that, right? Like The Walking Dead and all these things. But like everybody's like the story's so good, or Game of Thrones, but like I feel like Hellblade told an impactful story without being so brutally gruesome about things. Granted, there's a lot of violence in that game, right? I'm not trying to take away from that, but like the way the story was being told was not through the violence. It was, very impactful for me that way. And I think that's kind of when I started really, really appreciating stuff like these smaller titles. Is
It
through
was
a
more
game like that.
symbolic. It wasn't
Mhm.
gratuitous violence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Taylor, you have any indies that you kind of
Beyond
really?
the Hollow
Mhm.
Knight, because I know you
Yeah.
talked about Hollow Knight and
Yeah.
You mean that I've like
Any
played?
no, just like anything that's like super impactful for you besides Hollow Knight and stuff like
Oh,
that.
indie
Or,
related.
Mhm.
I don't know. If we're talking about endings, like I said, I've only played 2 of them, so it's hard for me to say if they like impacted me. To me, they were just like really good games and really good storytelling. But in terms of like impacting me emotionally and stuff, I would say no. Just because for me, Hollow Knight's story isn't like something that's like personal. Same with like Hades, they just had good stories in the game. But I do know like there's other indie games out there that you guys have talked about. Like some of my friends are obsessed with indie games, and they've talked about, some that you said address like mental health issues, or like, I think isn't Spiritfarer an indie game? I think.
mm-hmm. Yep.
Um,
The one
one
on
of
the
my
boat.
friends was talking. Yes, and that one he said made him cry a lot, and I
Mhm.
don't know too much of the premise. I'm assuming it's people passing on or something like that, or learning to let go. I'm assuming that's what it is. I don't know much about the game, but he said it was like really good, and it was very emotional and whatnot. So he recommended it. So that's on my list to play. Um, so yeah, because I'm looking forward to playing more, because I've heard that the storytelling topics they address and stuff like that are just really impactful.
Well, let me tell you, Space for the Unbound. Any chance I get to sell this game, I will. It's fantastic. The story is so impactful. It deals with depression, it deals with bullying, it deals with suicide, and it does such a good job in telling its story.
Yeah.
So it's what's it called? You said?
A Space for the Unbound.
Okay, I'll add it to my list.
Yeah. And this game made me cry. There's some games get me misty-eyed and get me feels. This game actually made me cry. Ugly cry. So
I'll probably cry. I'm very emotional. I cry at a lot of games, so
Mhm.
or movies, so I'm sure I'll be the same way.
mhm.
Yeah. Well, I think that's going to wrap that topic. We did have one question, but I think we're going to hold it until next week because of A, time, and B, I think we need a little bit more time to process this PlayStation 5 Pro information. It's kind of, about what we think the next Switch will be compared to this. So, but we'll get your question next time, Shane. Promise. But we're gonna wrap it there. Taylor, thanks for joining us tonight. Really appreciate you hanging around for this long kind of trek through video games. Where can people find you, and if you want them to follow you?
But yeah, you can find me on Twitter. My handle is cute_idiot. Yeah, I'd love to chat with you all. Thank you guys for having me. I had like a super amazing time on here. It was fun talking about games and everything. And a lot of the games you guys talked about in your segments, I added to my list because now I'm interested in playing them. So it was really cool. So thank you.
Yeah, it was cool. Thanks for hanging out again. We'll have to have you back soon to do more of this fun, exciting thing that we call a podcast. Everybody out there, thank you for listening to this episode of the Boss Rush Podcast. Remember, you can find us every Monday on your podcast service of choice pre-show on Patreon for as little as $1 a month. You get one every week. So good for you. Thank you. If you are a patron, thanks for your support. Subscribe on YouTube, rate us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Pat, Stephanie, thank you for your time as well tonight. Appreciate you both. Stephanie, it was good having you back. It's been a hot minute, but we missed you.
Just happy to be back.
And everybody out there, thank you so much for watching and or listening. And until next time, we love you. Goodbye.
Bye.
If you want to see how you can become a Patreon producer, head on over to patreon.com/BossRushNetwork. The Patreon producers for this month are Adriel Munger, Austin Campbell, Celeste Roberts, Christian S., Sana Deary, Francisco Santillan, Matthew Keel, and Todd Oxtra. Thanks for your continued support of the Boss Rush Network.